right, so this is going to be another television show review. This one's called Miami Vice, 1984. This is going to be another Karate Man recommendation. Giving it 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was all right. It's got some police corruption. The pilot had some annoying lamestream pop music in it. But the other episode that I saw on this disc, one called Heart of Darkness, that one had the Tubes and Devo on it. So the music is starting to get better. The concept for the show was supposed to be MTV Cops. That was the original name that they came up with. It has music in between scenes. It's kind of like a giant MTV music video, really. Anyways, it's been a pretty crazy week again. I'll tell you about it later, but I better get through this Wikipedia page. It's like an hour long. So here we go. Well, I'll tell you what I liked about it. I like the police corruption in both episodes. I like the soundtrack a little bit better in the Heart of Darkness episode. I didn't like the soundtrack in the pilot. It was too lamestream for me. It was too pop music. Too much pop music, okay? And there was a decent explosion in the pilot. I guess there are more explosions coming down the pike. The alligator disappears. That alligator is ridiculous. I don't even know why they put an alligator on that show. Anyways, what else? Yeah, it's kind of the only reason why they're driving around fancy cars wearing fancy clothes is due to asset forfeiture law, which is evil scheme of government to take your property without due process. So it's kind of ironic that the police are almost worse than the criminals themselves in some instances. But this other episode, Heart of Darkness, has some kind of white slavery going on, some teeny bopper prostitution thingamabobber. I like the beginning when the white girl is like working out, doing aerobics to the Tubes. That was pretty cool. All right, enough about that. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Miami Vice is a U.S. crime drama television series created by Anthony Yurkovich and produced by Michael Mann for NBC. You see Michael Mann's name at the end of each episode. The series stars Don Johnson, who was in Machete, as James Sonny Crockett, and Philip Michael Thomas as Ricardo Rico Tubbs, 2 Metro-Dade Police Department detectives working undercover in Miami. The series ran for 5 seasons on NBC from 1984 to 1989. I chose 1984 because it was kind of like I don't know. You turn on the TV and you see the show on. This one in Hawaii Five-0. I think I like Hawaii Five-0 and Magnum PI better than this. I don't know. That's just me, but I'm not too crazy about this. I think it was because of the lamestream pop music. They tried to make it like MTV Cops or something. That didn't appeal to me back in the 80s, but anyways. I think I like Renegade better than Miami Vice. Just because the Lorenzo's Lamas one-liners are funny sometimes, and he does do some nice karate moves in that one. Of course, Kathleen Kilmon is in it. She's probably the third most beautiful woman of all time. Kathleen Kinmont. She might be the first or second most beautiful woman of all time. I'm not sure. And she's always wearing like a bra or something in that one. She's showing off a lot of skin in it, even though you can't see much in the way of cleavage, but pretty decent outfit she's got on in Renegade. I'm impressed. I'm still about halfway through season 1 of Renegade. The TV show. Oh, by the way, Karate Man's in the chat room in case you're wondering who I'm talking to. It's that time of day. It's the Karate Man chat room time of day. So I'm about halfway through season 1 on Renegade, and I just discovered that you can click on the drop down on the YouTube screen, and it gives you season 2 and season 3. So I've got about 40. I've got about 55 episodes to get through on YouTube with that Renegade series. Oh my gosh. And plus, it's got all these guest stars like Jesse Ventura. It's got the crazy UK guy with the spiky hair. I forget his name. He was fighting with Dolph Lundgren in some movie. Walker Texas Ranger I have not watched. But I'll add it to my combined list. Let's see if it's on Netflix. I watched Airwolf with Jan Michael Vincent. Have you ever seen Airwolf? Karate Man? Airwolf. I think Karate Man would like Airwolf. You should check out some more Airwolf episodes. They're all right. I mean, it's got George Kennedy in it, right? Airwolf. Oh no, it's got Ernest Borgnine. How did I get George Kennedy mixed up with Ernest Borgnine? Oops. My head is not in the right place right now. Try to pull up Netflix to see if Walker Texas Rangers is on there. Netflix is going to send me 10 discs next month. So I might be able to get through Miami Vice seasons 1 and 2. Walker Texas Ranger. Is it Walker, Texas Ranger? Might not pop up. No results. Let's try Texas Ranger. Nothing. Is it on YouTube? see if it's on YouTube, this Walker Texas Ranger thingy-mabobber. So it lasted for 8 seasons. That's even longer than Miami Vice. Who's in the chat room? Is that British Crumpet Man? Adrian? I think Adrian got mad at me because I was talking about those greedy people from New York, and he somehow he figured out that they were Jewish, that there was a Jewish connection there. That wasn't me being anti-Jewish. That was Adrian. I take no responsibility for that. Okay. I don't want to be responsible for anti-Semitism on this channel. I just said they were greedy. Okay. I didn't mean to say all Jewish people are greedy. That was Adrian in the comments section. That's why I didn't click thumbs up or heart sign, because I didn't want to be responsible for condoning that kind of thing, but whatever. I did it anyway. Ex post facto, when I saw his comment on there, complaining that I didn't do a thumbs up on his comment. Well, I don't see Walker Texas Ranger on YouTube or Netflix. So let's get into the nitty gritty, shall we? The series ran for 5 seasons on NBC from 1984 to 1989. The USA Network began airing reruns in 1988. And it broadcast a previously unaired episode during its syndication run of the series on January 25th, 1990. Unlike standard police procedurals, the show drew heavily upon 1980s new wave culture, and it is noted for its integration of contemporary pop and rock music. I'm not a fan of pop music, but whatever. And stylish or stylized visuals. I hate that Phil Collins song, Hold On. If I hear that again, well, Don Johnson's $200 hairdo is flying around in his Porsche that he confiscated, taking somebody else's property. I'm gonna get sick, man. Anyways, People magazine states that Miami Vice was the first show to look really new and different since color TV was invented. Wow. Michael Mann directed a film adaptation of the series, which was released July 26, 2006, which I have not seen. The conception of the show is unclear. One version of events states that the head of NBC's entertainment division, Brandon Tarkikoff, wrote a brainstorming memo that simply read MTV Cops. That's what they said on the bonus features. And later presented it to series creator Anthony Yerkovich, formerly a writer and producer for Hill Street Blues, which I have not seen. Dead Bang? You recommended Dead Bang? I don't remember that one. Anyways. Yerkovich, however, I gotta look up Dead Bang now. That's not ringing any bells. Come on. No results. And of course, it's not on YouTube, right? We mentioned that Don Johnson was in Machete, which is a decent movie. Got criticized by Alex Jones for being too pro-immigration. Dead bang. So here's the deal. I'm going to be stuck in Miami Vice and Renegade episodes for the next month or so. Dead bang is a buy or rent on YouTube. I'm not paying any money to YouTube until my Netflix DVDs run out and my 30-day subscription to Amazon Prime Video runs out. I'm not paying for these videos, man. To hell with Netflix and YouTube buy or rent. They can all go to hell. Yurkovich, however, had indicated he devised the concept after learning about asset forfeiture statutes. Boo! Allowing law enforcement agencies to confiscate the property of drug dealers for official use. In other words, thou shalt not steal unless the government says so. The initial idea was for a movie about a pair of vice cops in Miami. Yurkovich then wrote a script for a 2-hour pilot titled Gold Coast, but later renamed it Miami Vice. Yurkovich was immediately drawn to South Florida as a setting for his new style police show. Wow. I used to know a girl from Miami Beach. She was Cuban, and she tried to get me to boycott KFC and do all this other silly stuff, and I said, oh, hell no. Anyways, in keeping with the show's title, most episodes focused on combating drug trafficking and prostitution. Yeah, we like the white slavery episodes. Episodes often end in an intense gun battle, claiming the lives of several criminals before they can be apprehended. Ed O'Neill hung himself in this Heart of Darkness episode. That was kind of bleak and depressing episode. Ed O'Neill, the Married with Children, he's always got his hands in his pants while he's watching television. An undercurrent of cynicism and futility underlines the entire series. The detectives repeatedly refer to whack-a-mole nature of drug interdiction, with its parade of drug cartels quickly replacing those that are apprehended. Co-executive producer Yurkovich explained, even when I was on Hill Street Blues, I was collecting information on Miami. I thought of it as sort of a modern-day U.S. Casablanca. It seemed to be an interesting socio-economic tide pool, the incredible number of refugees from Central America and Cuba. Yeah, we like the Cuban girls in Miami Beach. The already extensive Cuban-U.S. community, and on top of all of that, the drug trade. There is a fascinating amount of service industries that revolve around the drug trade, money laundering, bail bondsmen, attorneys who service drug smugglers. Miami has become a sort of Barbary Coast, a free enterprise gone berserk. They talk about that in the pilot. They said the drug dealer said, like, free enterprise is the cornerstone of democracy, or something really stupid that only television people say. Anyways, let's see. The running time is 46 to 49 minutes plus 96-minute episodes, excluding commercials. The pilot was like 2 hours, including episodes. Production companies: Michael Mann Productions, Universal Television. Original release September 16th, 1984 to January 25th, 1990. Yeah, tell me about it. I watched all of the Professor Quiz recommended You Bet Your Life. And I spent like 3 months going through those episodes, man. My movie reviews kind of hit a snag at that point. And I think I'm in the same situation because I've got 2 Karate Man TV shows recommendations to get through. Oh man, brutal. I showed you the first disc. Let me show you the other 2 discs. So I went to church potluck last night without my son, and there was a very young girl who also took singing lessons. She's going to enter the choir at the South San Francisco church, and she'd be the perfect wife for my son. Anyway, here's disc 2. And last but not least, this one's 2 hours, 51 minutes. I don't even know if I can get through these tomorrow. Probably not, because my son wants to do Eucharistic adoration after Latin Mass. This is disc 3. All right. The choice of music and cinematography borrowed heavily from emerging new wave culture of the 1980s. As such, segments of Miami Vice sometimes used music-based stanzas, a technique later featured in Baywatch. As Lee H. Katzin, one of the show's directors, remarked, "The show is written for an MTV audience." I never liked MTV. I want my MTV. No, I don't. As Lee H. Katzin, one of the show's directors, remarked, "The show is written for an MTV audience, which is more interested in images. Images, everything. Remember that Canon commercial? Images, everything. Emotions and energy than plot and character and words." No kidding. I didn't really care for the plot in these television episodes. It was like, what the heck is going on? Do I really care? These elements made the series into an instant hit, and its first season saw an unprecedented 15 Emmy Award nominations. Oh man. Lamestream. While the first few episodes contained elements of a standard police procedural, the producers soon abandoned them in favor of a more distinctive style influenced by an Art Deco revival. No earth tones were allowed to be used in the production by executive producer Michael Mann. Is this Michael Mann guy like a costume designer, or is he like a producer? I'm confused. Okay, a director of Miami Vice, Bobby Roth, recalled, "There are certain colors you are not allowed to shoot, such as red and brown. The script says a Mercedes pulls up here. The car people will show you 3 or 4 different Mercedes. One will be white, one will be black, one will be silver. You will not get a red or brown one. Michael knows how things are going to look on camera." Isn't that nice? Not really. Miami Vice was one of the first U.S. network television programs to be broadcast in stereophonic sound. It is mixed in stereo for its entire run. Like I said, I like the tubes beginning where the white slavery 16-year-old is doing the aerobics to the tubes. And she's all sweaty. I've never been to Miami. I used to be involved with this catfish Cuban girl in Miami, but I think she got irritated at me and she found a younger boyfriend. No, I'm not going to review season 2 separately of Renegade. I always review the first season, and that's it. I'm not going to go into detail of the second season of Renegade. I'm not going to do it. Nick Nolte and Jeff Bridges were considered for the role of Sonny Crockett, but since it was not lucrative for film stars to venture into television at that time, other candidates were considered. Mickey Rourke was also considered for the role, but he turned down the offer. Larry Wilcox of Chips was also he's the Eric Estrada's sidekick of Chips was also a candidate for the role of Crockett, but the producers felt going from one police officer role to another would not be a good fit. After dozens of candidates in a twice-delayed pilot shooting, Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas were chosen as vice cops. Don Johnson was not NBC's preferred actor, but I think he had only done 6 projects before that. For Johnson, who was by then 34 years old, NBC had particular doubts about the several earlier unsuccessful pilots in which he starred. I guess those are the 6 pilots that he was in. Jimmy Smits played Eddie Rivera, Crockett's ill-fated partner in the pilot episode. We mentioned Jimmy Smits in the description. After 2 seasons, Don Johnson threatened to walk from the series as part of a highly publicized contract dispute. The network was ready to replace him with Mark Harmon, who had recently departed St. Elsewhere, but the network and Johnson were able to resolve their differences, and he continued with the series until its end. Why did it end after 5 years? I guess it started getting bad ratings. Image is not everything, all right? At least not during the early 90s. Okay, before production started, the idea was to do all or most of the exterior filming in Los Angeles and pass it off to viewers as urban Miami. An approach put into practice 2 decades later during the filming of CSI Miami, which I have not seen, but instead, nearly all filming, both exterior and interior, was done in Miami and Florida. Many episodes of Miami Vice were filmed in the South Beach section of Miami Beach. That's our favorite section. That's where all the Cuban girls are. An area which at the time was blighted by poverty and crime, with its demographics so deteriorated that there simply weren't many people on the street. Ocean Drive's hotels were filled with elderly, mostly Jewish retirees, many of them frail, subsisting on meager Social Security payments. That's like the San Francisco Tenderloin, man. These seniors who didn't work, and they're collecting $145 in Social Security payments every month. And they're living in the Tenderloin. I met some guy like that at the church potluck on Friday. He was totally nuts. He's talking about anointing people and some saint whose body is preserved at the church down the street from Grier, where we go to church. And this guy was just completely nuts. And then one of the priests sat next to him. He started like pretending to talk to another priest on his phone. And the priest is like, "I'm sorry, I can't hear you." And then he just got up and moved. Anyways. Where was I? Oh, they were filming all over Miami Beach. They could film in the middle of the street. There was literally nobody there. There were no cars parked in the street. In early episodes in particular, local elderly residents were frequently cast as extras. Some street corners of South Beach were so run down that the production crew actually decided to repaint the interior walls of some buildings before filming. The crew went to great lengths to find the correct settings and props. Bobby Roth recalled, "I found this house that was really perfect, but the color was sort of beige. The art department instantly paints the house gray for me. Even on feature films, people try to deliver what is necessary, but no more. At Miami Vice, they start with what's necessary and go beyond it. Yeah, this is over budgeted, glossy music video. The show, I don't know how else to explain it. Miami Vice is to some degree credited with causing a wave of support for the preservation of Miami's famous Art Deco architecture in the mid 1980s to early 1990s. Many of these buildings, among them beachfront hotels, have been renovated since filming, making that part of South Beach one of South Florida's most popular places for tourists and celebrities. I told you it was decent. Miami Beach, I'm telling you. If you want to see some nice Cuban girls, go to Miami Beach, man. Other places commonly filmed in the series include locations around Broward and Palm Beach counties. Interior scenes were initially supposed to be filmed at Universal Studios in Los Angeles, but to simplify cross-country logistics, the decision was made to use the facilities of Greenwich Studios in North Miami instead, and only carry out post-production in LA. In a few scenes, particularly in earlier episodes, Greenwich Studios' rear loading dock is repeatedly used as the back room of the Gold Coast shipping building where the offices of the Vice Squad are located. Castillo, the police captain, is so intimidating. Didn't they replace him with Edward James Olmos later on? I guess I'm going to be watching Edward James Olmos. I got to put his name in the description. I think he started midway through season 1, I think. Gregory Sierra, who plays Rodriguez, has been in a lot of TV shows. Yeah. Wasn't he in Hill Street Blues? Gregory Sierra. Yeah, he was in Hill Street Blues. This Gregory Sierra dude, he died in 2021. Lanky, balding, intense U.S. character actor of Puerto Rican ancestry, born in New York's Spanish Harlem. Gregory Sierra. Okay. Miami Vice is noted for its innovative use of stereo broadcast music, particularly pop and rock hits of the 1980s. Yeah, I can take it or leave it. I'm good with Devo and who else? We like Devo on this channel. We like the Tubes, Iron Maiden. Who else? Foreigner is decent. Suicidal Tendencies, we like them. The Damned. We like The Damned, and Billy Idol's decent. 80% of this pop music stuff is crap, though. All right, so pop and rock hits of the 1980s and the distinctive synthesized instrumental music of Jan Hammer, who's also in the bonus features. He's a Czech U.S. musician, composer, and record producer. He did the music for The Introduction, which is very famous. While other television shows used made-for-TV music, Miami Vice would spend $10,000 or more per episode to buy the rights to original recording. Like I said, it's just a music video set to cops driving around in stolen drug dealer Porsches. Anyway, getting a song played on Miami Vice was a boost to record labels and artists. In fact, some newspapers, such as USA Today, would let readers know the songs that would be featured each week. Among the many well-known artists and bands, as well as underground or new wave associated acts who contributed to the music, were Roger Daltrey, Duran Duran, The Police, Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent is pretty decent. Anyways, several artists guest star in episodes including Leonard Cohen, Phil Collins, Miles Davis, Power Station, Glenn Frey, Suicidal Tendencies, Willie Nelson, Ted Nugent, Frank Zappa. We like Frank Zappa on this channel. We like Baby Snakes. The Fat Boys. I haven't seen the Fat Boys in a long time. Sheena Easton, Gloria Estefan, and Gene Simmons. We talk about Gene Simmons and his wife all the time. Karate Man says Edward James Olmos nailed it as Castillo. Yeah, I think that's why Miami Vice was at 10 p.m. on Friday nights until Edward James Olmos came around. Then it was ready for prime time. That's when the big turnaround for Miami Vice came, when Edward James Olmos appeared as Castillo. An iconic scene from the Miami Vice over includes Crockett and Tubbs driving through Miami at night to Phil Collins' song In the Air Tonight. Oh, I called it Hold On. It's called In the Air Tonight. I don't even know the name of this stupid song, but I hate it. Jan Hammer credits executive producer Michael Mann with allowing him great creative freedom in scoring Miami Vice. The collaboration resulted in memorable instrumental pieces, including the show's title theme. We sort of briefly touched on this, which climbed to the top of the Billboard charts in November 1985. They should put Halloween theme song on the top of the Billboard charts. The Miami Vice original soundtrack, featuring the theme song and Glenn Frey's Smuggler's Blues and You Belong to the City, a number 2 hit, remained at the top of the U.S. album chart for 11 weeks in 1985, making it the most successful TV soundtrack at the time. The theme song was so popular that it also garnered 2 Grammy Awards in 1986. Lamestream! It was also voted the number 1 theme song of all time by TV Guide readers. I think I like Dark Shadows theme song better. Crockett's theme, or how about the theme song for Space 1999? Crockett's theme, another recurring tune from the show, became a number 1 hit in several European countries in 1987. During the show's run, 3 official soundtrack albums with original music from the episodes were released. Hammer also released several albums with music from the series. Among them are Escape from Television 1987, Snapshots 1989, and after many requests from fans, Miami Vice, The Complete Collection 2002. All right. I'm up 40 minutes. Oh, Michael Mann directed Heat. I've got to list his name as the producer. Did I review Heat? I don't remember. The clothes worn in Miami Vice had a significant influence on men's fashion. They popularized, if not invented, the T-shirt under Armani jacket style, and it popularized Italian men's fashion in the U.S. Don Johnson's typical attire of Italian sport coat, T-shirt, white linen pants, and slip-on sockless loafers became a hit. Mainstream fashion. Crockett initially wore an 18K Rolex Day Date President model in the first season until Ebon won the contract for the remaining seasons. Similarly, Crockett's perpetually unshaven appearance, the 3-day stubble, sparked a minor fashion trend, inspiring men to wear designer stubble at all times. I used to do it on the weekends during the late 90s, just because I was too lazy to shave. I was engaging a sloth when I let my stubble grow on the weekends. I thought it looked cool on me. And it gave me an excuse to be lazy. Heat 1995, I have not reviewed. Is it on my combined list? All right. In an average episode, Crockett and Tubbs wore 5 to 8 outfits, appearing in shades of pink, blue, green, peach, fuchsia, and the show's other approved colors. What's the deal with pink? I used to have a pink dress shirt. Notice I said used to. So what is the deal with pink? Anyways, why are men wearing pink? Designers such as Vittorio Ricci, Gianni Versace, and Hugo Boss were consulted in keeping the male leads looking trendy. We don't like trendy on this channel. Costume designer Bambi Breakstone, who traveled to Milan, Paris, and London in search of new clothes, said that the concept of the show is to be on top of all the latest fashion trends in Europe. Yeah! Jody Thailand, the costume designer for the season, along with Michael Mann, set the style. This is why I didn't watch this television show when it came out. The abundance of pastel colors on the show reflects Miami's Art Deco architecture. She's in the bonus features too. This Bambi Breakstone lady. She was working closely with Michael Mann to get the right colors. During its 5-year run, consumer demand for unstructured blazers, shiny fabric jackets, and lighter pastels increased after 6 formal wear even created a line of Miami Vice dinner jackets. Kenneth Cole introduced Crockett and Tubbs shoes, and Macy's opened a Miami Vice section in its young men's department. Crockett also boosted Ray-Ban's popularity by wearing a pair of Model L 2052. You can get Ray-Bans with speakers in them now, I think. The Ray-Bans nowadays have some kind of electronic device in them. Ray-Ban Wayfarers, which increased sales of Ray-Bans to 720,000 units in 1984. People were wearing Ray-Bans in my high school or my junior high school. I can't remember. Anyways, in the spring of 1986, an electric razor became available named the Stubble device, allowing users to have a beard like Don Johnson's character. Heat, 1985. We've got White Heat, Desert Heat, Chained Heat 2, Body Heat, and Angel of Heat, but no Heat. It's probably on my movies list. I call it the combined list ever since Netflix prospective removal of my Netflix queue. Anyways, it was initially named the Miami device by Wall, but in the end, the company opted to avoid a trademark infringement lawsuit. Many of the styles popularized by the TV show, such as t-shirt under pastel suits, no socks, rolled-up sleeves, Ray-Ban sunglasses, have become the standard image of 1980s culture. Don Johnson said, "Why would you ruin $200 shoes with $14 socks?" The influence of Miami, like that's supposed to be funny. Okay. If I sound irritated, I'm sorry. I thought there were some elements of this that were decent. I didn't think it was all bad, but it just kind of reminded me of why I hated these kind of TV shows when I was a teenager. If you know what I mean. In hindsight, I probably judged it a little bit too harshly. The influence of Miami Vice's fashions continued in the early 90s, and to some extent, this has had a lasting impact. Miami Vice also popularized certain brands of firearms and accessories. We like it when the judge pulls out a shotgun in the pilot. I was impressed. Anyways, after Johnson became dissatisfied with his gun holster, the Jackass Leather Company, later named Galco Internationals, sent their president, Rick Gallagher, to personally fit Don Johnson with the original Jackass rig, later renamed the Galco Miami Classic. All right, let's see if Heat is in here. I've got Petey Wheatstraw, Theater Blood, Red Heat, Heat Seeker, Chiller Theater. Oh, Heat 1995 is 574 on my combined list. So there you have it. All right. Karate Man says, the 80s when mullets were getting popular. Yeah, that was the late 80s, I think. Anyways, the Bren 10, manufactured by Darnus and Dixon, was a stainless steel handgun used by Don Johnson during Miami Vice's first two seasons. Darnus and Dixon went out of business in 1986, and Smith & Wesson was offered a contract to outfit Johnson's character with the Smith & Wesson Model 645 during season 3. Several firearms never before seen on TV were featured prominently for the first time in the show, including the Glock 17 pistol, additional firearms not well known to the public, including the Steyr AUG, an Austrian bullpup assault rifle, Mac 10, and Desert Eagle were showcased to a wider audience on the show. Even heavily guns come to use, as Zito is seen maneuvering an M60 machine gun from a rooftop in the episode Lombard. I like some of the machine guns in this TV show. Anyways, two automobiles drew a lot of attention to Miami Vice: the Ferrari Daytona and Testarossa. During the first 2 seasons and 2 episodes of the third season, Detective Sonny Crockett drove a black 1972 Ferrari Daytona Snyder 365 GTS4 kit replica built on a Chevrolet Corvette C3 chassis. The car was fitted with Ferrari-shaped body panels by specialty car manufacturer McBurney Coachcraft. Once the car gained notoriety, Ferrari Automobili filed suit demanding that McBurney and any others cease and desist producing and selling Ferrari replicas and infringing upon the Ferrari name and style. As a result, the Daytona lasted until season 2, at which point it was blown up in the season 3 premiere episode, When Irish Eyes Are Crying. I only have the first 2 seasons of Netflix DVDs, but I don't think I have much more than 10 discs. So I might get through Miami Vice before I send back my last disc. We'll see what happens. Neither the kit car nor its backup was actually destroyed, as the production company simply blew up a small plastic model for replacements. The Ferrari Daytona is the subject of a huge continuity goof on the show when it suddenly reappears in El Viejo 6 episodes after its destruction without explanation. Originally, El Viejo was set to be the 3rd season premiere, but studio executives felt that Daytona's destruction would serve as a more dramatic opening to the season. Don Johnson's contract holdout at the start of the season also played part, delaying filming to the point where El Viejo could not finish in time for the season premiere. The series crew also used a third Testarossa. The series crew also used a third Testarossa lookalike, which was the stunt car. Carl Roberts, who had worked on Daytona kit cars, offered to build the stunt car. Roberts decided to use a 1972 Daytomosa Pantera, which had the same wheelbase as the Testarossa, and thus was perfect for the body pieces. The vehicle was modified to withstand daily usage on set, continued to be driven until the series ended. Crockett was also seen driving a black 1978 Porsche 911 SC Targa in a flashback to 1980 in the season 3 episode Forgive Us Our Debts. Crockett's partner Ricardo Tubbs drove a 1964 Cadillac Coupe DeVille convertible. Stan Switek drove a turquoise 1961 Ford Thunderbird. Gina Calabrese drove a 1971 Mercury Cougar XR7 convertible. I think I like that one better. When Stan and Larry were undercover, they drove a Dodge Ram van. Oh, I used to drive those Dodge Ram vans to deliver groceries, man, for 7 years. And it used to get stuck in people's driveways. Anyways, other notable vehicles that appear in Miami Vice include Lamborghinis, AMG, Mercedes-Benzes, BMWs, Maseratis, Lotuses, DeLoreans, Porsches, and Corvettes. U.S. muscle cars such as Pontiac GTO and Firebird Trans Am. What is this? Smoking the Bandit? Ford Mustang, Chevrolet Camaro, Plymouth GTX, and Barracuda. Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS and Buick Grand National also made appearances. Yeah, this is like a car lover's dream, this television show. Jan Hammer did the music, the same guy who did the music for I Come in Peace, a.k.a. Dark Angel with Dolph Lundgren, which I reviewed. Jan Hammer. Yeah, he's the Czech guy. I'm going to put Jan Hammer's name. He came up with the title for Miami Vice. He's in the bonus features. Mann is saying he did the score for I Come in Peace, aka Dark Angel. I Come in Peace, Dark Angel. All right. I'll fix that later. I'll put his name in the Dark Angel movie review as well as this television review. And I'll put Michael Mann's name as the producer since he did Heat in the description. I don't know that song, Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears. It doesn't ring a bell. But it probably played on the radio in the 1980s. I just don't remember what it sounds like off the top of my head. I'm not a Tears for Fears fan. Let me put it to you that way. I'm not a pop music fan. I like the underground music by Suicidal Tendencies, Devo, The Tubes, that kind of stuff intrigues me. But the other stuff is mostly crap. Throughout the series, Sonny Crockett lived on an Endeavour sailboat, St. Vitus Dance. While in the pilot episode, Crockett is seen on a 38-foot Cabo Rico sailboat. Season 1, he is seen living on an Endeavour 40 sailboat. While in the rest of the series, seasons 2 to 5, he is seen living on an Endeavour 42 sailboat, priced at $120,000 in 1986. The allure of the sailboats was such that the Endeavour 42 used for the 1986 season of Miami Vice was sold to a Midwest couple, while the Endeavour 40 was sold to a chartering service in Fort Lauderdale. At the same time, Endeavour was building a new 42 for the 1987 season of Miami Vice. In the pilot episode for the first season, Crockett piloted a Chris Craft Stinger 390X, a 39-foot deep V offshore racing boat. For the other 4 Stingers, Chris Craft showed the production crew a color scheme that included the red. However, since Michael Mann decided that the color red was to never show up on the show, a blue color scheme was chosen instead. The Stingers used on the show were not free from Chris Craft. The situation caused the production team to switch to using Wellcraft 38 Scarab KVs for the remainder of the show. The Scarab 38 KVs were a 28-hued twin 440 HP boat that sold for $130,000 in 1986. As a result of the attention the Scarab 38 KV garnered on Miami Vice, Wellcraft received an onslaught of orders, increasing sales by 21% in one year. In appreciation, Wellcraft gave Don Johnson an exact duplicate of the boat. It must be nice to be Don Johnson in the 1980s. Afterward, Johnson was frequently seen arriving to work in it. Altogether, 100 copies of the boat, dubbed the Scarab 38 kV Miami Vice edition, were built by Wellcraft. The Miami Vice graphics and color scheme, which include turquoise, aqua, and orchid, was available by special order on any model Scarab from 20 to 38 feet. Don Johnson also participated in the design of the Scarab XL 43 feet Don Johnson signature series DJSS, and he raced a similar one. The DJSS was powered by twin 650 horsepower Lamborghini V12 engines, which caused some problems to the design of the boat due to their size. Overall, the boat cost $300,000, with each engine amounting to between $60,000 and $70,000. His interest in boat racing eventually led Johnson to start his own offshore powerboat racing team named Team USA. Joining him were Hollywood stars Kurt Russell and Chuck Norris. Johnson won the Offshore World Cup in 1988, and he continued racing into the 1990s. In both the pilot episode Brothers Keeper and the season 4 episode Baseballs of Death, a Grumman Turbo Mallard G-73T amphibious airplane registration number N2969 made an appearance. In the former episode, the drug dealer Calderon used N2969 to successfully escape from Crockett and Tubbs at the climax of the episode. Yeah, whatever happened to that Calderon dude? We'll never know. Don Johnson said, "You're no longer an outlaw cop. You're hired." Even though the bad guy got away. In the latter episode, Guerrero made an attempt to escape from the Vice team in N2969, but ran out of fuel and was killed after he stole a fisherman's boat that ran ashore and exploded. In December 2005, N2969 suffered a catastrophic structural failure when the right wing separated from the fuselage as the plane climbed out of Miami bound for the Bahamas. Both crew members and all 18 passengers were killed upon water impact. N2969 was completely destroyed. Scripts were loosely based on actual crimes that occurred in Miami over the years. This included both local and international and global organized crime. Many episodes focused on drug trafficking, for which real-life Miami was a main hub and entrance point into North America in the early 80s. Other episodes were based on crimes such as firearms trafficking, for which Miami was equally a gateway for sales to Latin America, as well as Miami River Cop scandal, a real police corruption ring that included narcotics, thefts, drug dealing, and murders, street prostitution, serial home burglaries, crimes committed by Cuban immigrants to Miami following the Mariel boat lift, and Yakuza Mafia activity in Miami. The series also took a look at political issues such as the Northern Ireland conflict, the drug war in South America, e.g. Prodigal Son, U.S. support of generals and dictators in Southeast Asia and South America, and the aftermath of the Vietnam War. Social issues like child abuse, homophobia, and the AIDS crisis were also covered. Oh, brother. I'm starting to just dislike this Miami Vice. Social issues. I'm not looking forward to these episodes. The first two were halfway decent, but now that I'm reading through this, I'm starting to get irritated. Personal issues also arose. Crockett separated from his wife, Caroline Belinda Montgomery, in the pilot, and he divorced in the 4th episodes. And later, his second wife, Caitlin Davies, Sheena Easton, was killed by one of his enemies. I want to see Sheena Easton. In the 3 episodes, Mirror Image, Hostile Takeover, and Redemption of Blood, a concussion caused by an explosion caused Crockett to believe he was undercover alter ego Sonny Barnett, drug dealer. Tubbs had a running partly personal vendetta with the Calderon family, member of which ordered the death of his brother Raphael, a New York City police detective. Lieutenant Martin Castillo is also frequently haunted by his past in Southeast Asia, which he spent as a DEA agent in the Golden Triangle. In the first seasons, the tone was lighter, especially when comical characters such as police informants Nugi Lamont, Charles Barnett, and Izzy Moreno, Martin Ferrara appeared. Later, the content was dark and cynical, with Crockett and Tubbs fighting corruption, and storylines emphasizing the aspect of human tragedy behind a crime. The darker episodes sometimes lacked a denouement, each episode ending abruptly after a climax involving violence and death, often giving the episodes a despairing and sometimes nihilistic feel. I felt that way after Ed O'Neill hung himself. Despite the trademark glamour and conspicuous wealth, given his idiosyncratic dark feel and touch, Miami Vice is frequently cited as an example of made-for-TV neo-noir. Michael Mann, who serves as executive producer for the majority of the show's 5-year run, is often credited with being one of the most influential neo-noir directors. The second season episodes, Out Where the Buses Don't Run, ranks number 90 on TV Guide's 100 Greatest Episodes of All Times list. During its 5-year run, Miami Vice underwent several noticeable changes in its formula and content. Between seasons 1 and 2, however, these changes were mostly subtle and involves details such as the degree of perfection with which color shades of scene backdrops, props, and clothing are matched to each other. For its third season in 1986 to 87, after the cancellation of Knight Rider, which I had on my Netflix queue, but it's now on my combined list, the show moved from its traditional time slot of 10 p.m. on Friday nights to 9 p.m. So it was a while after Edward James Olmos appeared that they switched time slots, which now put it up against perennial top 10 show Dallas. Then began the show's decline, and in March 1987, TV Guide ran a cover story entitled Dallas Drubs the Cops, Why Miami Vice Seems to Be Slipping. Miami Vice's season rating slipped from number 9 in season 2 down to number 27 by the end of season 3. Maybe that's why I only have the first 2 seasons, because season 3 is really crappy. According to this, it did not do well in the ratings. Before leaving the series to work on his new television series Crime Story, Michael Mann handed the role, which I have not seen. Michael Mann handed the role of executive producer to future Law and Order creator Dick Wolf prior to the third season, 1986 to 1987. My grandmother used to like Law and Order. Wolf had the show focus on contemporary issues like the troubles in Northern Ireland and capital punishment. Okay. I'm cool with capital punishment. I don't know what about Northern Ireland. I guess I'll find out. In addition to losing the battle against new time slot rival Dallas, the general tone of season 3 episodes started to become more serious and less lighthearted than in previous seasons. Comedic scenes and subplots became distinctively rare. True to Dick Wolf's grab from the headlines approach, which he later employed in TV series like Law and Order, storylines focus more on the serious human aspect of crime than on glamorizing the tropical lifestyles of drug dealers and other high-profile criminals. This shift in tone also reflected in the series' fashion, color schemes, and its choice of music. The cast started wearing pronouncedly dark clothing and even earth tones, which had famously been avoided by executive producer Michael Mann in seasons 1 and 2. Color palettes of scene backdrops started becoming more darker as well, with pastels replaced by harsher appearing shades of neon. Whereas seasons 1 and 2 always featured a diverse selection of contemporary, mostly upbeat chart music and classic pop and rock, the third season's music lineup became much more somber, with songs like In Dulce Decorum by The Damned, Lies and Ballads by Jackson Browne, Mercy by Steve Jones, and Never Let Me Down Again, aggro mixed by Depeche Mode. All these changes were decidedly unwelcome both by critics and by many viewers who had become fans of the TV series due to the package that the first two seasons delivered. I'm interested in the Damned. It says the Damned became a rock band. They used to be a punk band. Anyway, all these changes were decidedly unwelcome. It caused the producers to retool their approach to Miami Vice for the following fourth season. By season 4, most of the original writers have left the series story and story arcs, including a courtship marriage between Sonny Crockett, Don Johnson, and Caitlin Davies, Sheena Easton, and a plot in which Crockett developed amnesia, during which he mistook himself for his drug dealer alter ego, and he became a hitman. Sounds like Chuck Norris hitman. Caroline Crockett, Sonny's first wife, as well as his son Billy, reappeared briefly. Jan Hammer departed from the series at the end of the fourth season, having already handed much of the weekly scoring workload during the season over John Peterson. The tone of many season 4 episodes grew lighter again, albeit sometimes veering off into the bizarre, e.g. episodes like The Big Thaw, Missing Hours, and The Cows of October. Fashions and scene backdrops largely reassumed the pastel hues of seasons 1 and 2, and the choice of music became more varied again. Hopes by the producers of propagating former and remaining fans this way only materializing very mutedly, and reception was lukewarm, as evidenced by the show's still declining ratings during season 4. Firestone, 1998. Okay. I'll look up that one later. I'll make it through season 5 now. The fifth season, 1998 to 1989. Excuse me. The fifth season, 1988 to 1989, saw the show return to its original time slot, 10 p.m. on Friday nights, and took the show on a yet more serious tone, with storylines becoming dark and gritty, enough so that even some of the most loyal fans were left perplexed. Tim Truman took over scoring the episodes of the remaining series run, and he brought with him a style of instrumental synthesizer music that was markedly different from Jan Hammer's. We mentioned Jan Hammer as the I Come in Peace Dark Angel theme. All right. After still deteriorating ratings during the fourth season, NBC originally planned to order just a shortened fifth season of only 13 episodes, but eventually settled for another full run, which was either way going to be the final season. At the beginning of season 5, Olivia Brown recalled the show was trying to reinvent itself. Dick Wolf said in an interview for True Hollywood Story, after the fifth season, it was just kind of over, and that show had run its course. In May 1989, NBC aired the 2-hour season series finale, Freefall, Despite its status as a series finale, there were 3 episodes that did not air: World of Trouble, Miracle Man, and Leap of Faith, which appeared during the June reruns as lost episodes. A 4th previously unaired episode, Too Much Too Late, was aired for the first time in 1990 on the USA Network. It has since been run by other networks in syndication with the 5th season episodes. I could go on for hours. I'm up. Yeah. I'm up over an hour, 16 minutes. I think I'm going to cut it off now. I can go into the actors, the main characters, the recurring characters, the guest appearances, the reception, the critical response, the impact on pop culture, home media. I could go through all of that for another hour, but I think I'm going to cut it off here. This is my longest video of all time, and I'm not going through the entire Wikipedia page. I will look up Jan Hammer, Firestone, and Michael Mann. We'll get those descriptions fixed. And British Crumpet Man, where is he? So here's the thing. I did that big, long 30-minute confession with Father Mike. I got all my sins absolved. I've been staying away from temptation, which is difficult for me. But not impossible. And I became good friends with my son's favorite priest. I mentioned that choir girl at the other church that my son should be dating, but he wasn't there. And I invited my son's 7th grade Filipina teacher to the potluck slideshow thing on Friday night that I went to. But she refused to meet me after school for anything besides my son's confirmation. So, yeah, so I slept until 8 a.m. Then I took a 2-hour nap in the afternoon. And I'm going to try to sleep for maybe 4 more hours after I cook dinner, maybe 3 more hours. And then I'll go on the energy drink. And I'll try to watch 1 or 2 more discs of this Miami Vice thingamabobber. But I'm going to fast for 12 to 13 hours before I receive the Eucharist at Latin Mass tomorrow. My son said, I'm doing fasting wrong. I should talk to my confession priest, but I'm not going to confession because I haven't sinned. I don't know why my son goes to confession every week to confess venial sins. I'm not sure if I've seen absolution, or the Licorice Quartet. I can't remember. I'm having difficulty with the top of my list, but that's about it. I'm going to cut it off. I'm at the 1 hour, 20 minutes mark with Karate Man, waiting patiently in the chat room. I had 2 people in the chat room, 1 person left. And Karate Man's the only man left standing in the chat room. Let's give Karate Man a big hand. Well, that was a long video. Thanks for staying with me. Have a good weekend, Karate Man. Laters.